Welcome back, guys. This is me, Mr. Frederick, once again. Excited to see you again. Thank you for joining us in this channel. In today's lesson, we will analyze the scientific method and the steps. Without further delay, let's get it and let's go. So, what is the scientific method? It's an empirical procedure of acquiring knowledge that has set the tone in the development of science. It has raised the bar where everybody in the scientific community could bear the standard. Okay. Now, who invented the scientific method? The scientific method was used even in ancient times, but it was first documented by England's Sir Francis Bacon, who set up inductive methods for scientific inquiry, procedures that could be used that when one person do an experiment and they write it down, another person could replicate that experiment using the same guidelines that they use. All right. It was during 1561 to 1626. So here you have a picture diagram of a person, a scientist doing an experiment, showing the formula, explanation, and then putting it into practice and experimenting. And then you see, let's do this again. So what are these steps when doing scientific method? First, you have to ask a question. What question comes to mind? Sometimes the question comes after you go upon something. Second, what is your hypothesis? You have to research what your hypothesis is and then go into your hypothesis. Like, what data is it? Has it been asked before? What education guess? What do you think is going to happen? An experiment. You got to test it out, analyze the data, and then what's your conclusion? Was your hypothesis confirmed or was it falsified? Why is the scientific method so important? It attempts to minimize the influence of bias or prejudice in the experimenter. It also provides an objective, standardized approach to conducting experiments. In doing so, improves the results. So basically, every party who does an experiment have guidelines that could follow so that someone else could follow it and also do it and take the experiment further along, asking new questions. Is the scientific method the only way to do science? Of course not. It is important to understand that this was not invented by scientists, but by historians and philosophers of science during the last century. Just to make sense how science works, there's not one way to do specifically science. There's other ways, and the better we understand that, the better science can even develop even further. If there is more than one way to do science, then what is it? Number one, scientific application. Basically, putting the science to practice. You get data, see if there's something strange and amazing about it. And then working backwards. Sometimes you need to do things backwards to go forward. And in life too, sometimes working backwards helps you solve the problem in a new way that's amazing. Think of reverse engineering. You see something you do it backwards, and then now you know how to build it forward and make more of it. So do you know that scientists and mentors recognize that mistakes and unexpected results can be a blessing in disguise? Science is still taught in schools as if the scientists did an experiment, they got the result, and then bam, it got into the textbook. The best discoveries, though, were stumbled upon by accident or by mistake introduced by a scientist. So sometimes a scientist will look for something, and then they end up finding something completely different. And then they go forward with that experiment. So that's also very cool. Just recap. Remember the steps. You ask a question, you do the research, you do a hypothesis, what's your guess, you do an experiment, you analyze the data that's been done, you make your conclusions. Mistakes are part of the journey when doing science. That's part of life. Science should always be growing, innovating, and improving. But remember, the scientific method is just one way to approach science. It's not the only way. That's why we need more young scientists, innovators, to take science to a whole new level. That sums it up for today, guys. Keeping it 150 as always. If you have any questions, feel free to write it down below in the comments below. And don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. and I see you in the next video. Peace.